Okay, so the false card you have your past is the Two of Pentacles. Okay, there's a bit of communication. I'm seeing communication here. I'm seeing a bit of frustrating communication, actually. I think something was lost as well. I'm seeing that as well. Yeah, this is actually quite specific, but I'll say what I'm seeing. There's an email. There's some information that was attached to an email, or might have been in the email. And it was important. It was important information. It was important to you. And you're quite stressed about this because you couldn't find whatever this was, or it disappeared, or something took this. It was something like that. And it was work related. And there was a deadline around this as well. So I can see why you were quite stressed. I think the most frustrating thing, though, wasn't the actual thing. I think it was the people. There were people around you at this time, and they weren't taking you seriously, or someone who was close to you at work or something that weren't taking this seriously and was really driving you a bit crazy. And, I think you held it all together at the end. It all came together. It was okay in the end. You kind of held things together like this man. He's holding these coins together with this infinity symbol. And this is what you do. You hold things together when other people don't take things seriously, or they don't do things properly. It's a bit symbolic of your life, actually. You're the one who holds things together when other people don't take things very seriously. There's a lot of strength here as well. Your strength's growing, or it was at this time. It started at this time and it's still growing, I think. You've always been strong. And I think that's why you have a lot of people who rely on you. But I think what you were starting to build up was a bit more of your inner strength. And I think the result of that's probably eventually going to be that you're going to be saying no to a lot of people, which is really good to see. I really like seeing that. I'm just looking at this man juggling, and it's like he's building up his muscles. He's exercising because he's juggling these coins. And if you look at each coin, they're kind of bigger than his head. So they'd be big and heavy. If you went to juggle them, these big gold coins, gold's heavy. You build up a lot of muscle. And that's what you do. You're building up your muscle. You're regaining your strength. And this was mental muscle, emotional muscle, inner muscle. I'm really, really glad to see you doing this. Really, really good. Okay, so the next card you have, you pass the Hierophant. Yeah, I think this might be how someone in your life saw you. A bit closed off. Not really engaging in conversation. I think this is someone who looks up to you. I think they'd love to come closer to you. And I think they see this as a love situation, and I don't think you did, actually. That's what I'm seeing. It was like you weren't opening up to them. Because this Hierophant, he has his ears covered, and it was like they wanted to get closer to you, but you weren't letting them in. That's what I'm seeing. Okay, this is what I'm seeing. I hope this makes sense. It feels like they were trying to engage with you, but not with the real you, not with the true you. It feels a little bit superficial to me. It's kind of like, here's an example. It's kind of like, when a group of women say, oh, all men are like this, or all men like this thing. They all like blue, or they all like this. It's the same with any perceived group. People have these ideas of how people in certain groups are supposed to behave, and to me that's all rubbish. We're all individual people. So I think that might have been how this person was trying to engage with you. It was like they were trying to talk to who they thought you were, but not who you really were. And I think because you're building up this strength, I think what's going to happen is, or you might already be like this because you had your ears closed to them, but you're building up a tolerance for anything or anyone that's not authentic, or that doesn't feel authentic, or anything that's pushing you into a category that you're not happy to be in. So yeah, you're saying no to them already, I think, and now you're going to say no to a lot more, I think. That's what I'm getting in that card. Okay, so the last card you have your past is Death. Yeah, this is the fantastic card for you, I think, because, you're growing, you're building up your strength. And yeah, I think this is a time where you just said, okay, I'm ready to let things go. I'm ready to let all the things go that I don't want anymore. Things, people, just from memory, I'm just thinking about your last reading. You know, you felt so burdened. It was a really tough reading. And I love seeing this because it feels like a big weight, a big burden is kind of being lifted off you by saying no. It's not just about people expecting you to do things for them. There is that. But this is more like people who assume that you're going to fit a certain role to suit them because it's easier for them, or they want to see you doing whatever it is. You've had a lot of these kinds of people in your life, people who don't take the time to really, truly get to know the real you. And, you know, it takes time to do that. It takes effort. And a lot of people weren't willing to put in that effort. I'm sort of seeing this card as a little bit of a test, actually. It's like, you know, this is what it's like. Who really wants to know me? Let's see. If you want to know me, let's test that. Let's see what happens. I'm not saying you're putting everyone through a test, but there is some kind of filtering process that's going on. It sounds horrible, I know, but I can't think of a better way to say that. Yeah, it is. It's a filtering process. You're filtering out people who don't want to take the time to get to know you. Yeah, you're going to be a lot more serious about who you let into your life on a deep level. Of course, you're going to have to kind of engage with people in your workplace and whatever, but these are people who you're thinking of letting close to you on a deep level. You're going to be very, very, very careful of that. I'm seeing a kind of outer sanctum and an inner sanctum, and there's a big gate between, and it's going to be very difficult to let people into that gate. Very few people are going to go in through that gate. That's what I'm seeing. Okay, so yeah, the first card you have your presence, the Nine of Wands. Yeah, again, here's the gate, here's the wall. And, you know, this man's part of the wall. He's guarding himself while he's walking forwards away from all the rubbish that he's leaving behind, which is what's happening in the Death card. Okay, I'm also seeing a situation here. And yeah, there's a lot of passion around this. There's a lot of fighting as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword here. I think this might be about someone from your past, but I don't think you've lost contact with them. I think it feels like something that was really fiery at one time. I'm getting a lot of passion, anger as well with that. And I think you might still be in contact with this person, maybe. That's just what I'm getting there. Okay, not a lot of people know this about you. You're a very passionate person, especially when it comes to love, especially when you feel a deep connection. And a deep connection for you, you know, of course, as I was saying in the Death card, it means that they have to know you on a very deep level, but it doesn't mean that they have to be on the same level intellectually with you. That's what I'm seeing. It doesn't have to be like that. Yeah, I think you've had some very passionate connections in the past with people who didn't match you intellectually, really. I'm seeing one very, very passionate relationship that was a bit like that. I think this might be this person who was quite passionate and fiery as well, or it might be someone else, but I think it might be the same person. So if you're still talking to them, if this is an ex or whoever this is, I'll just tell you what I'm seeing. Maybe this is messing with your head a bit, keeping in contact with this person. I'm just looking at this man with this bandage around his head. So, you know, you might be thinking something like, oh, it's fine, I can keep on talking to them. I'm an adult, I can stay in contact with them. It won't mess with my head, it's fine. There is a negative feeling around this that I'm picking up. And I have to say that if I'm seeing that, and I am. And you have the Death card here as well, which means letting things go, moving forward, and this card can be about retreating, stepping back from something. So you might want to just step back from this a bit. You might want to reassess whether this is a good connection to have in your life, because there's a lot of anger here. It really doesn't feel good to me, actually. So I don't want to tell you what to do, but it's just something to think about if this resonates. So just think about that. Okay, so the next card you have your presence, the Three of Pentacles. Yeah, I think this might be something to do with what I was seeing in the Two of Pentacles, because obviously this is a progression on from the Two. Okay, and this can be about not being taken seriously as well sometimes. So I think this is about your workplace. I think this is about the relationships with the people you have at work. I keep on feeling feeling this big weight of responsibility here. I'm getting this feeling of people relying on you, and that's fine. I think that's the position you're in. I think people do rely on you. That's okay. But I think people rely on you a little bit too much than they should do. I'm seeing a lot of things being left to you. Some of these things shouldn't be left to you. That's what I'm seeing. Other people should be doing these things. And I think, yeah, some people are just leaving things with you that they could be doing themselves. And again, they're not taking this seriously. They don't think about how this impacts you. It's like, oh, they'll handle this, they can do this, I'll just leave it for them. That's what I'm seeing. Now, with this muscle that you're building up, this strength that you're building up, yeah, you know what I'm seeing? I'm seeing a big crackdown coming down with all of this kind of thing, or coming up for you. It's like you're going to start cracking down on all this. You're going to start saying no. You're going to be really ruthless about this. I think anything you shouldn't be dealing with, you're just not going to be dealing with it. And yeah, there's going to be some resistance, but it's going to be really, really fantastic for you, actually. Once this all settles down, all the resistance kind of settles down, it's going to be really good for you. Yeah, this is the feeling I'm getting. I'm getting relief. I'm getting satisfaction as well, because you'll be doing things you're supposed to be doing and no more than that. Yeah, you're really showing your strength here. So it's like you built up that muscle in the Two of Pentacles, and now you're using it in the Three. So, and the Three is obviously a progression from the Two. So that's what I'm seeing. Very, very good. Okay, the last card you have, your presence, the Star. Okay, there are a few things here, I think. The first thing is, obviously this is about you finding yourself again, and you're having to be very tough while you're doing that. You're being quite ruthless in a lot of ways to get yourself back into the right position again. You know, there's an ibis right next to this woman's elbow, and ibis are tough. They're tough birds. You know, they're the most resilient birds. They're the strongest birds ever. You know, they can survive just about anything. And you are going to get a bit of a backlash here. I'm seeing that everywhere here. You know that when you start implementing things. Yeah, you know that, you're expecting that. But the other thing is here, there's someone who's attracted to you physically, and they're not going to be feeling too happy. Just watch out for this. I think this might be the person in the Nine of Wands, because I was getting that really bad feeling around that. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, there's a lot of passion there, anger. So yeah, this is this person. Just watch out. If you're trying to retreat, if you're trying to distance yourself from them, which I think you will try to do, if you're not doing it now, you might do this eventually. Just watch out. Just watch out for that. I don't think they'll like losing that attention from you. I think they like the attention from you, the attention you give them. You might get a few angry texts or phone calls. You're not in physical danger, but sometimes this card can be about feeling a bit vulnerable. So just be aware of that. You know, because you're putting your foot down, you're saying no to things, and a lot of people aren't going to like that. And if this is someone who can be a bit angry, which I think it is, just be prepared for some anger. I think you know who this is. I think you know what they're like. So watch out for that. Again, you're not going to be in danger, but I think you're going to get some pretty angry texts. It's going to be like, where are you? Why aren't you giving me attention? That's what I'm getting. And yeah, I think that's the problem, because I think it's fine. It's like, I'm okay talking to them, and it's fine when you're doing what they want. But once you stop doing what they want, then that's when the anger comes out. And I think that's when you're going to see that. So watch out for that. Okay, so the first card you have for your future is the Four of Swords. This is fantastic. I love this. I'm really happy this is here. What this is telling me is you're not just cutting things out. You're not just cutting people out on a whim. You're not being led by emotions. You're very serious. You usually do that. You put a lot of thought into things. You're very serious. But yeah, you're really taking your time. You're thinking about this. You're thinking about what you want. And you're also thinking about how this is going to impact on other people. And yeah, I think you're a step ahead of a lot of these people, actually. So you're probably prepared for this angry person. I just have to say, this is a huge turnaround from last week's reading. You've always had this strength inside you, but I think it was being crushed by a lot of things that were going on there. And I think now, because you're really using your strength, things are just looking so much better for you. because yeah, you're building up that muscle, that inner muscle. It's really fantastic. I'm really happy to see this. I'm so much happier about this reading. I'm so much more relaxed when I'm doing this too. I was really stressed in the last one. All right, so the next card you have, you features the Page of Pentacles. Okay, I'm just looking at your workplace situation again. I'm seeing a lot of movement, a lot of changes around that. Yeah, I'm actually seeing people leaving, and I'm seeing some new people coming in as well. A lot of movement. I'm looking at this card and I'm looking at the Ace of Wands at the same time. So I think I'll talk about them together actually. So yeah, this is what I'm seeing. Some people are going to leave your workplace. I'm definitely seeing 2 people. It might be more than that. But this is going to be a really good thing actually. I'm not saying these people are leaving because they're bad people or anything. I'm not saying it's good because they're leaving. But there is a need for, there's a real need for some fresh air in this building or this kind of workplace, if that makes sense. Fresh air is needed. And now the people that come in, I'm seeing younger people, maybe graduates. I'm seeing ambitious people. I think this is really going to inject a lot of new life into your workplace. A lot of new ideas are going to come in. It looks really dynamic, really interesting, and really different to the way things were actually. Now, I think this change is probably going to happen probably in the first half of next year. Yeah, I'm saying more dates and times now if I see them. So yeah, a lot of really interesting new changes are coming to you, and you're driving a lot of this yourself. You're the driver behind this. I'm not saying people are leaving because of you. I'm not saying that, but I think there's a lot of change in the air, change in the dynamic, and I think that's around you saying no to a lot of things. I think that's really going to start a sort of sequence in the atmosphere, and the whole energy is going to just change. Some people are going to like that, some people aren't, and people are going to leave and all that. And again, it's not because of you. It's kind of like, you know, when you start a feeling and then that starts a thought and then that starts an action, and that's what's kind of happening in the atmosphere around your workplace, and that's going to start a whole lot of changes and movement and things like that. So it's looking really good for you. I really love this. I'm so much happier with this reading than I was for the last one.